couple of months ago, when we scheduled a demonstration to try and bring to the end 10 years of frustration and getting a new path, I didn't entirely believe that it would work, but the evidence that it has worked is here in the form of this magnificent kissing gate. Anybody who wants a kiss afterwards, I'm here. I'm here. It was.
You're all right, Paul, I'll leave it.
It's okay. We've got 2 or 3 people who will say something, but first of all, our special guest is Noel Newman. Noel has walked this route between Swarkestone and Stanton ever since round about 1930.
1928.
1928.
Came to Swarkestone in 1928.
Okay,
I
so
was
Noel,
7 years old.
it was 7 years old.
So I reckon that back.
Would you like to say a few sentences, Noel, to the assembled throng?
Yeah. Well, the only times where it didn't go across here was when it was flooded, of course. And it used to flood a lot worse then than what it does now. Because the river was dredged out and there was 2 islands below the bridge and they were taken out and it helped a lot for the water to go through. The father worked through a pub and the farmland with the kitchen captain, and the father was a cowman. We lived down Woodshop Lane, which is down this side of the pub, the first cottage. I was there for 26 years. I worked at Barrow-on-Trent for 10 years. And then I worked at a dairy, which originally it was a blacksmith shop and a wheelwright. A wheelwright made wooden wheels for carts and drays and hooped them. And then it was bought by this dairy and it was converted, and I worked there for 5 years. Till it started going that way, and I could see it was going, so I got another job.
So you used to walk to Stanton School?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
In fact, you claim you walked on water, Noel.
Not really, no. I would have liked to have done sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
But I mean, when you were walking along the bridge then, you could walk down the middle of the road. There was only buses and a few lorries and an odd car now and again. Yeah, Rolls-Royce test rigs. We used to test the car engines. Yeah, and we used to go through the lane and test them. Yeah, in the test rig. There were open things. It was just a chassis and a seat on it and an engine in front.
Fabulous days.
Yeah, yeah. They're only cardboard.
So Noel, thanks for giving us that little picture of the way it was. And as you know, they're serving tea and coffee in the Crewe and Harper when we finish. The bar opens at 11, but we don't want to keep you standing here in the cold because we'd hate you to suffer.
Well, I'm only 96.
Just starting out.
Only a lad yet.
Thank you very much, Noel. Much appreciated. I call second on Ian Turner from the Melbourne Civic Society because this whole process was kicked off 10 years ago by Melbourne Civic Society. Ian, a word or two, please.
Word or two, will be just 2 as well. Yes, we had a big meeting up at County Hall. I was chairman of the Civic Society and Claire was the secretary, and we both went up to Matlock because we were concerned about the maintenance of the bridge. But while we were there, we raised the question of pedestrians walking along the first section of the bridge, and we told the county officers there, including the road safety officer, that it was bloody dangerous, to put it frank. It hadn't been necessary to walk down that section there for a long time, because the footpath had been diverted while the gravel extraction took place here, and the footpath was diverted down the road which is now the access to the sailing club. But then it was reinstated afterwards, and people had to walk. And when we published the booklet called Walks Around Melbourne, we actually told people to walk from Swarkestone to Stanton and vice versa along that section of the causeway. And frankly, that was just dangerous. So we raised that with the county officers and said it's absolutely essential that the footpath is diverted. And that was the original intention. And they said, oh yes, it's definitely that. We'll definitely do it. It'll be done fairly quickly because it's so dangerous. We know now how long it took because of, well, perhaps somebody else will explain the background to that. But basically, the Civic Society initiated it. We then stood back because Barry and the Footpaths Group basically took over the lobbying. We lobbied the councillors, the officers and so on. Particularly we lobbied Linda Chilton, the County Councillor, who I think has probably got fed up with us.
First job.
And lobbying for this. But anyway, it has now been done. So 10 years later, I'm very grateful. Thank you, George. Thank you, Linda, and everybody else for all the pressure that you brought to bear, particularly Barry, who's done a lot of the state work.
Thank you. As Barry rightly says, we wouldn't have got as far as we have without Linda Chilton, our County Councillor, and I'd ask Linda to say a word too, please.
Yeah, well, I'm as pleased as you are, actually. I walked it. I can remember you being up there saying, go back, it's dangerous.
Yes.
And on the film, I thought, those are my feet.
Yep.
And
This was East
it
Midlands
wasn't
today.
as busy as it normally is, but I mean, I don't start a job without finishing it anyway. It is dangerous. We're trying to pursue this health and well-being of the children and obesity, but you can't recommend children to go along there, let alone older people who, let's face it, it generally is the older people who have the time to go and do the walks anyway. Everybody else is rushing around after their children. So I pushed it, and I think we worked as a team basically. But I don't like to let anything go, because once I've started it and been made a promise, I want them to keep it.